He proposed to the man who was destroying him. He smiled for the cameras while hiding bruises under his sleeves. And now, after months of being controlled, isolated, and broken down piece by piece, Todd Grimshaw is finally turning the tables on the person who did it to him. If you think you know where this Coronation Street story is heading, think again, because what's coming next on the cobbles is one of the most talked about and emotionally devastating twists of the year. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, this is your home for the latest Coronation Street news, spoilers, and everything happening in Weatherfield. Today we're diving deep into the story that has completely taken over Corrie fan forums and social media in recent weeks, the harrowing, headline-making saga of Todd Grimshaw and his partner, Theo Silverton. What started as a seemingly happy engagement has spiraled into one of the soap's darkest and most important storylines in years, and the latest chapter sees Todd finally pushed past breaking point, ready to fight back against the man who spent months tearing his life apart. Before we get into the very latest twists, let's rewind for anyone who hasn't been keeping up, because this story has been building for a long time, and the background matters enormously to understanding just how significant this moment is. Todd Grimshaw is one of Coronation Street's longest-running and most beloved characters, first appearing on the cobbles back in 2001. Originally played by Bruno Langley, Todd was one of the show's pioneering gay characters, and his storyline coming out was groundbreaking for British soap opera at the time. After Langley's departure, the character returned in 2020, this time played by Gareth Pierce, who has since made the role entirely his own, taking Todd through comedy, heartbreak, family drama, and now, arguably, the most serious and important storyline of his entire 20-plus year history on the show. Enter Theo Silverton, a scaffolder who came into Todd's life and, on the surface, seemed like exactly what he needed: charming, attentive, and deeply devoted. But viewers watched with growing unease as that devotion curdled into something far more sinister. Behind closed doors, Theo revealed himself to be a master manipulator, someone who isolated Todd from the people who loved him, controlled his finances, tracked his movements, and subjected him to a relentless campaign of psychological and eventually physical abuse. It's a coercive control storyline, and Coronation Street has handled it with a level of grim realism that's left viewers genuinely shaken. This isn't a cartoonish soap villain twirling a mustache. Theo's abuse is quiet, insidious, and horribly believable, which is exactly why it's resonated so strongly with audiences and domestic abuse charities alike. Now, here's where the story takes its most dramatic turn yet, and it's the reason everyone's talking about Coronation Street right now. For months, Todd hid the truth from everyone around him. He covered for Theo, made excuses, and even publicly proposed to him in a desperate bid to prove to the world, and perhaps to himself, that everything was fine. Fans watched in horror as Theo used every trick in the coercive controller's playbook, cutting Todd off from his bank accounts, monitoring him through a smartwatch he'd gifted him as a supposed act of love, isolating him from his closest friends including George Shuttleworth, Sarah Platt, and Summer Spellman, and even sabotaging his work and reputation behind his back. Todd's exhaustion and despair became so severe that he collapsed on the cobbles, a moment that finally started to raise serious alarm bells among those who care about him. Then came the storyline's most devastating gut punch. Billy Mayhew, Todd's ex-boyfriend and one of the few people who'd started to piece together the truth about Theo's abuse, tragically lost his life following a horrific multi-vehicle crash during Coronation Street's crossover event with Emmerdale, known as Corriedale. What made this moment so gut-wrenching for fans was the revelation that Theo could have saved Billy, but chose not to, desperate to silence the one person who might have exposed him. It was a chilling escalation that transformed Theo from a controlling partner into something far more dangerous, and it left Todd drowning in grief and guilt, blaming himself for confiding in Billy at all. But it's what's happened since that's really got fans buzzing, because this is where Todd stops being purely a victim in this story and starts fighting back. As the truth about Theo's true nature has slowly started leaking out to those around him, with George, Christina, Sarah, Summer, and Gary all beginning to piece together the horrifying reality of what's been happening behind closed doors, Todd finds himself at a crossroads. Producer Kate Brooks has spoken candidly about this next chapter, explaining that Todd is in an incredibly complicated place emotionally. Even though people are finally starting to see through Theo's mask, Todd doesn't feel strong enough to walk away, still feeling worthless and trapped by guilt over Billy's death. Theo, meanwhile, is doing everything he can to keep his grip on Todd, playing the supportive partner in public while continuing to manipulate him in private, all while wrestling with his own twisted sense of guilt over what he's done. Recent episodes have shown the walls finally closing in on Theo in a way we haven't seen before. Sarah has grown increasingly suspicious, listing out the pattern of incidents to Gary Windass until the reality of what's happening finally dawns on him. George has quietly started preparing an escape plan for Todd, handing him a bag packed with everything he'd need to leave when the moment comes. And, in one of the most powerful and unconventional episodes the show has produced in years, Coronation Street aired a special found footage-style installment, piecing together events through Todd's own hidden cameras, CCTV, doorbell footage, and police body cam material, giving viewers an unflinching, almost documentary-style look at the abuse unfolding behind Todd and Theo's front door. It's the kind of bold storytelling choice that's earned the show serious critical praise, with commentators noting just how far Coronation Street has come in tackling coercive control with nuance and unflinching honesty rather than melodrama. And then, in scenes that left fans reeling, Theo's punishment for Todd turned violently physical, with Todd left battered and bruised after Sarah's attempt to check in on him was discovered. It's this brutal moment that finally seems to tip Todd over the edge. Rather than continuing to protect the man who's hurt him, Todd finally makes his move, playing along with Theo's lies just long enough to buy himself the opportunity to escape, before doing something many fans have been desperate to see for months: walking into a police station and reporting Theo for assault, finally opening up about the months of abuse he's endured. It's less a calculated act of vengeance and more a hard-won act of survival, but make no mistake, for a character who's spent so long protecting his abuser, this is Todd finally taking his power back, and it's landed as one of the most cathartic moments of the year for viewers who've been willing him to escape. The reaction from fans has been enormous. Social media has been flooded with viewers praising Gareth Pierce's performance, with many calling it some of the finest acting the show has produced in years, capturing the fear, shame, and eventual defiance of someone trapped in an abusive relationship with heartbreaking authenticity. Domestic abuse charities have also weighed in, commending Coronation Street for portraying coercive control so accurately, noting how the show has captured the slow, creeping nature of this kind of abuse rather than reducing it to a single dramatic incident. At the same time, plenty of viewers have admitted the storyline has been genuinely difficult to watch, with some saying they've had to look away during certain scenes, a testament to just how effectively the show has handled such heavy subject matter. There's also been considerable buzz around the found footage episodes specifically, with entertainment outlets highlighting it as one of the boldest formal experiments British soap opera has attempted in recent memory. So, what does this mean going forward for Todd, for Theo, and for the show as a whole? With Todd finally reporting Theo to the police, the story appears to be entering its endgame, though longtime Corrie fans know better than to assume any villain's downfall is guaranteed or straightforward. Theo has proven himself resourceful and manipulative at every turn, and there's every possibility he'll attempt to twist the narrative, deny the allegations, or find some new way to worm his way back into Todd's life before facing real consequences. Fans are already speculating about whether this could lead to a dramatic court case storyline, mirroring other high-profile Coronation Street abuse plots that have played out in front of juries in the past. There's also considerable chatter about what this means for Todd's future on the cobbles, whether this marks the beginning of a new chapter of healing and independence for the character, potentially involving reconciliation with estranged friends like Billy's memory being honored, or a fresh start away from Weatherfield altogether. There's also plenty of speculation swirling around Theo's fate. Having already been implicated in Billy's death, Some fans believe the walls closing in on him could lead to an even bigger reveal, with theories ranging from a dramatic public unmasking at a major Weatherfield event to a desperate, dangerous final act from Theo as he realizes he's about to lose everything. Given how the show has handled his guilt and self-justification so far, there's a real possibility Theo could be positioned for one last, devastating manipulation attempt before any resolution, and viewers are bracing themselves for the story to get worse before it gets better. To wrap things up, this has undoubtedly been one of the most powerful and important storylines Coronation Street has told in years. Todd Grimshaw's journey from silent, isolated victim to a man finally reclaiming his voice and reporting his abuser has struck a deep chord with audiences, thanks in huge part to a career-best performance from Gareth Pierce and the show's committed, careful handling of such sensitive subject matter. With Theo's grip on Todd finally starting to loosen and his own guilt threatening to consume him, all eyes are now on Weatherfield to see whether justice will actually catch up with him and what it will take for Todd to truly begin rebuilding his life. That's everything you need to know about this huge Coronation Street story for now, but you can be sure there's plenty more drama still to come as this plot reaches its climax. What do you think is going to happen next? Will Theo finally face justice, or does he have one more trick up his sleeve? Let us know your thoughts and predictions down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you never miss another Coronation Street update. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.